Hello, lovelies! Happy Monday! It's that time of year again. Time for the month-long prelude to the nightmare that is NaNoWriMo. Time for Preptober, of course. I shared my Preptober checklist with all of you last year. This year I plan on doing the same thing, just as a little refresher, but I've also made some tweaks here and there. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. First and foremost, announce my novel. There's nothing quite like announcing your novel to make the doom of NaNoWriMo really set in. It's really the best place to start, though. A kind of confirmation to yourself that you're doing this. You should be proud of yourself for even making it through this part. So many writers look at NaNoWriMo and see it for the monster that it is, and then they run to avoid it and all the problems that come with it. The fact that you even announced to the world that you're taking on this challenge is really something to be proud of. Next up, I develop characters. Of course, I still have the same go-to methods. Character profiles, secondary character profiles, character images, aesthetic boards, playlists, name lists, class schedules. I use these when working on my characters, even if I'm going to be working with characters that I already know inside and out. But this year, I have a new trick up my sleeve. Back in August, my best friend and I stumbled across a little thing called Hero Forge. Some options can be a little limited, but as a whole, it's really changed the game for us as far as character images go. So this year, one change to my character development lineup is make characters in Hero Forge. I already have some characters made, and since I have a paid account, I even have some couples. I'll be leaving a link for Hero Forge down below for anyone who might be interested. From there, I move on to world building. Nothing has changed in this section. I'm still using world building worksheets, maps, and setting images. After that, I focus on all things research. This one can be a real thorn in my side since I tend to be an overdeveloper, but I still look into environment, clothing, food, animals, economics, history, and depending on the story, classes, school politics, magic, rituals, and anything in between. I have worksheets for all of this, but since I work on 4 projects at a time, it can get a little overwhelming. It's still fun, thankfully. Next up, I spend a lot of time on one of my favorite parts, outlining. It's no secret that I love outlining. I mean, this year turned into my year of outlining after all. Usually, I stick to my same 3 processes of my stepping stone outline, my chapter breakdown, and my scene builder. There is something new I get to add this year. 2 things, actually. Through all the outlining I've been doing this year, I've really taken to 5-act breakdowns. I do a series breakdown with one and a book breakdown with another. It's been remarkably helpful when working on all of my outlines this year. Of course, then I have to get my tools ready. Getting my writer toolbox ready can thankfully be one of the more fun things to do on this list. And in my toolbox, I have Scrivener, or your writing program of choice, headphones, notebooks, sticky pads, sticky notes, prompt sheets, Sharpies, candles, playlists, snacks, and drinks. These things will always be in my writer toolbox. This year, I have to clean out my candy cauldron and change out some of the snacks inside. I'm also adding a couple additional items to my toolbox this year as well. Incense are a must now ever since my husband printed me an astrological incense burner. I'll also be adding a pillow for lower back support, that way I'm not ending NaNoWriMo in pain anymore. Then it's on to something entirely new this year. Making my NaNoWriMo Kanban board. Last year, having a Kanban board set up was a part of my writing toolbox. But over the last year, it's really become an important factor in my productivity, so this year it gets its own spot on the list. It's been an adventure to find a Kanban board that has exactly what I want, or at least the majority of it. But back in September, I found one that isn't exactly perfect, but has the majority of what I want. I'm excited to get to work on my board for NaNoWriMo. If you would like to see that process, please leave a comment down below. A couple years ago, I also implemented a new method that I find really works for me, and that's reward systems. As always, a good reward system is essential for me to succeed. My squirrel brain thrives off of the positive reinforcement. Alas though, it is a process to get the system up and going. Create a tracking calendar, create reward goals, and plan out rewards. As long as it keeps working, I'll keep using it. If you're curious about how that process goes, I'll leave a link for it down below from my video last year. I also get myself to read through Nano forums. I never respond to any forums, but I do try to make some time to give them a read through. This year, that plan has to change and I actually have to get myself to participate. I'll always be an observer at heart though, and strongly encourage anyone to give them a good read through. One of the most important steps on this checklist is to work through my NaNoWriMo battle plan. Without my NaNoWriMo battle plan, I have no chance of making it through November. I wish I was joking about that, but my first 3 years, I went in without a care in the world. Weekly breakdowns and hitting a wall early on were definitely a problem. But 2 nanos ago, I made my first battle plan and won, and I've been doing it ever since. A tried and true process I strongly encourage. You don't have to stick to the plan, similar to an outline. If you get the inspiration that carries you on through the end, then that's all that matters. The point is to give yourself a roadmap, but always remember that it's okay to wander off the beaten path. My battle plan this year is going to look a little different compared to previous years, but I'm still confident in it. Moving on to the less writing related things. The first thing is a meal plan. In my experience, meal planning is one of the most important things to be ready for when NaNoWriMo hits. When you've got the stride of a lifetime or have just gotten home from work and still need to get words in, already knowing what you're going to have for dinner can be a lifesaver. This year, I'll not only be doing meal planning, but also some meal prepping as well. One thing is definitely for sure though, my crockpot is going to be getting one hell of a workout. Last on the list, but certainly not least, I spend as much time with my husband as possible because once November hits, I will not be fit for human consumption. This is hands down the most important thing on my list. Right now, my husband is the only household family I have. I know he supports me more than anyone, and he's always there to cheer me on during Nano. So I try to use October to spend as much time with him and some other family. That way, once November hits, my reclusion won't be as cold. I imagine if you have kids, things are going to be a bit more demanding no matter what month it is. But it's always important to set time aside for the ones that mean the most to you, even if it's a beloved pet. And that's all for my checklist this year. Remember, you can add, take away, or change anything you want to make your own Preptober checklist. Now it's time to get to work. Catch you all on Thursday.